Life is a journey of relationships. Along the way, we encounter individuals who inspire us, uplift us, and guide us toward growth. But just as there are those who light our path, there are also others who obscure it with shadows of deceit and insincerity. The key to navigating these complexities lies in discernment, an ability rooted deeply in Buddhist teachings. Welcome to the Buddha's Insight, where ancient wisdom meets practical living. In today's episode, we'll explore how to recognize 7 signals of bad and fake people, drawing from timeless lessons and personal reflections. By the end of this video, you'll not only learn to identify these behaviors in others, but also reflect on your own growth journey. So, let's begin this transformative journey. Imagine yourself as a seeker, walking through life with eyes wide open and a heart full of compassion. Stay until the end, as every lesson builds on the last to unveil a profound truth about self-awareness and personal evolution. The humble seeker and her master. On the outskirts of a small mountain village, nestled in the gentle embrace of the forest, lived a wise and kind master. His reputation for wisdom had spread far and wide, drawing seekers from distant lands to learn from him. Among these seekers was a young woman named Mei, whose heart was filled with questions about the nature of people and life itself. Mei had grown up hearing tales of kindness, but had also experienced betrayal, leaving her yearning for clarity and discerning the genuine from the deceitful. One morning, as the rising sun painted the horizon in hues of gold and orange, Mei approached her master. Bowing deeply, she asked, "Master, how can I navigate the complexities of human nature? How do I recognize those who might harm rather than help?" The master smiled, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Mei, the answers you seek are not within the confines of this temple. They lie in the world beyond. I give you this task: travel far and wide. Meet people. Observe their actions and words. Discern the authentic from the inauthentic. Return to me with your learnings." With a deep breath and a heart full of determination, Mei set out on her journey, carrying only her master's teachings and her open yet cautious spirit. Signal 1: Words and actions misaligned. As Mei entered the bustling town, she was greeted by colorful banners and the cheerful sounds of market chatter. Among the vibrant stalls and lively energy, one name seemed to echo frequently in conversations: Bao, the merchant. Known for his grand gestures of generosity, Bao was celebrated as a benefactor who donated lavishly to local charities. His contributions were often accompanied by eloquent speeches at community events, where he portrayed himself as a champion of kindness and goodwill. Intrigued by his reputation, Mei decided to observe him more closely. On the surface, Bao seemed every bit the philanthropist the town lauded him to be. At a charity banquet, Mei watched as he presented a sizable donation, his words ringing with promises to uplift the community. The crowd erupted in applause, their admiration for Bao evident. Yet, Mei noticed a flicker of something peculiar in his demeanor, a slight smugness in his smile, as though he basked more in the recognition than the act itself. Determined to uncover the truth, Mei lingered in the town for several days. Her curiosity led her to Bao's shop, where she hoped to witness his daily interactions. What she found was starkly different from the image he projected in public. Bao's voice, which had been warm and inspiring during his speeches, now carried a sharp edge. He barked orders at his employees, demanding impossible results with little regard for their well-being. The workers flinched under his gaze, their shoulders hunched with exhaustion. Mei noticed how their faces, weary and lined with stress, contrasted painfully with the cheerful chatter of the marketplace outside. Her observations extended beyond the shop. Mei listened to whispers among the villagers as they shared their experiences with Bao. "He charges double what others do," one woman lamented. clutching her worn basket. "But what choice do we have? He owns nearly everything in this town." Another added, "His generosity is a facade. Behind closed doors, he's ruthless." The more Mei learned, the clearer the disparity became. Bao's public persona of benevolence masked a private reality of exploitation and greed. His words spoke of kindness, yet his actions inflicted harm. Mei's heart ached for the employees and townsfolk who bore the brunt of his duplicity. Summoning her courage, Mei decided to confront Bao. She found him in his office, meticulously counting coins with a satisfied smirk. Mei bowed respectfully before speaking, her voice steady despite the unease she felt. "Sir, may I ask you something?" she began. Bao looked up, his expression a mix of curiosity and impatience. "Of course. What is it?" Mei took a deep breath and said, "Your words at the charity banquet were inspiring. You spoke of kindness and community. Yet, I have observed your actions, and they seem to contradict your message. Your employees are overworked and mistreated. Your prices are high, leaving many struggling. How do you reconcile this?" Bao's face turned a deep shade of red. He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. His confident demeanor faltered, replaced by a mixture of embarrassment and anger. You have no idea how business works," he stammered. "These things are complicated." Mei met his gaze with calm determination. "Perhaps they are," she said gently. "But true kindness is not complicated. It is consistent in words and actions." Leaving Bao's office, Mei felt a mix of emotions, disappointment in his behavior, but clarity in her understanding. She recalled her master's wisdom, "The tongue may utter kindness, but the hands reveal the truth." Integrity, she realized, was the foundation of trust and respect. Bao's inconsistency not only harmed those around him, but also eroded his own character. This experience left Mei with a profound lesson. True authenticity requires alignment between words and deeds. Inspired by this realization, she resolved to ensure her own actions reflected her values. Understanding that living with integrity was the truest path to fostering trust and meaningful connections. Signal 2: Excessive Flattery. As Mei arrived in a bustling city, she marveled at the grandeur of its architecture and the throngs of people weaving through the streets. It was a stark contrast to the quiet simplicity of the villages she had visited. Amid this chaos, Mei was introduced to Lin, a renowned scholar known for his eloquence and intellect. His reputation preceded him, and Mei felt a mix of curiosity and caution as she approached him. From the moment they met, Lin showered Mei with lavish praise. "You are the brightest young seeker I have ever encountered," he said, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. His eyes sparkled with admiration as he added, "Your aura radiates wisdom beyond your years. Truly remarkable." Mei felt a flicker of pride, but quickly tempered it with a reminder of her master's teachings. While Lin's words were pleasing, they seemed exaggerated, almost too perfectly tailored to win her favor. Remaining composed, she thanked him politely and engaged him in conversation, curious to learn more about his intentions. Over the following days, Lin continued to flatter Mei. During their discussions, he extolled her intellect, repeatedly emphasizing how fortunate he felt to have crossed paths with someone of her caliber. Mei found his compliments excessive, but chose to listen patiently, sensing there was more to his demeanor than met the eye. Eventually, Lin revealed his true motives. "Mei," he began, leaning in with an air of confidentiality, "I have a project that I believe is perfectly aligned with your talents. It's a groundbreaking endeavor, one that requires a visionary mind like yours." He handed her a detailed proposal, its contents filled with lofty ideas and ambitious plans. As Mei read through the proposal, her suspicions solidified. Lin's earlier compliments had not been genuine expressions of admiration, but rather a calculated strategy to gain her trust and enlist her help. The praise that once seemed sweet now felt cloying, a thin veneer hiding his ulterior motives. Summoning her courage, Mei addressed Lin with a calm but firm demeanor. "Sir," she said, "your project is indeed ambitious, but I must decline. I sense that your words of praise were less about my abilities and more about securing my support. While I appreciate your kind words, I value sincerity above all." Lin's expression faltered for a moment before he composed himself, offering a half-hearted smile. "Perhaps you misunderstand my intentions," he said. Though his voice lacked conviction, Mei nodded politely, not wishing to argue, and took her leave. As she walked away, Mei reflected on the encounter. Her master's wisdom echoed in her mind. Beware the one who praises too easily. Their tongue may hold honey, but their heart harbors an agenda. She realized that Lin's flattery had been a tool to manipulate her, a reminder that not all praise is genuine. The experience left Mei with a sharpened sense of discernment. She resolved to approach future encounters with a balance of openness and caution, valuing authenticity over empty compliments. Mei understood that true respect and admiration are earned through sincerity, not manufactured through excessive flattery. With this newfound clarity, Mei continued her journey, her steps guided by the wisdom she had gained. Each encounter, whether pleasant or challenging, became another piece of the intricate tapestry of lessons her master had sent her to weave. Signal 3, a pattern of gossip. Mei arrived in a serene, picturesque village nestled among rolling hills. The village's charm was amplified by its warm and friendly inhabitants. Among them was a woman named Xiao, whose cheerful demeanor and quick wit made her a favorite among the locals. Mei, eager to connect with the people, soon struck up a friendship with Xiao. Their conversations were lively and engaging, filled with stories about the village and its residents. At first, Mei found Xiao's anecdotes entertaining. Xiao had a talent for storytelling, weaving vivid images of the villagers' lives with humor and intrigue. "Did you hear about Mr. Huang's failed attempt to fix his roof?" Xiao chuckled one evening. "He ended up with a hole twice the size of the original." Mei laughed along, amused by Xiao's playful banter. However, as the days passed, Mei noticed a troubling pattern. Xiao's stories often veered into criticism and gossip. She spoke of others' mistakes and shortcomings with a tone that bordered on delight. "Mrs. Zhao spends more time gossiping than tending her garden," Xiao whispered conspiratorially one afternoon. "No wonder her tomatoes are the size of marbles." While Mei smiled politely, she began to feel uneasy. One evening, as they sat under the shade of a large oak tree, Xiao launched into another tale. This time, it was about a young blacksmith who had allegedly mishandled an important order. Xiao's words were sharp, painting the blacksmith as incompetent and careless. Mei, listening quietly, couldn't shake a growing discomfort. She realized that while Xiao's stories were often amusing, they left a bitter aftertaste. Gathering her courage, Mei decided to address the issue delicately. "Xiao," she began gently, "you often share stories about others' flaws. Have you ever wondered what this says about your own heart?" Xiao's cheerful expression faltered. Her smile faded, replaced by a defensive glint in her eyes. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice tense. "I mean no offense," Mei replied, her tone calm and kind. "But I've been taught that words carry energy. When we focus on others' faults, we may unknowingly create mistrust and disharmony. I wonder if our words could instead build understanding and kindness." Xiao avoided Mei's gaze and quickly changed the subject. brushing off the comment with a dismissive laugh. Yet Mei could see that her words had struck a chord. Later that night, as Mei reflected on their conversation, she recalled her master's teachings: words carry energy. Gossip poisons relationships and creates mistrust. She realized that while Xiao's gossip may have started as harmless chatter, it had the power to shape perceptions and sow discord. Mei also acknowledged her own role in listening and occasionally laughing along. She resolved to do better, to ensure her words and actions aligned with her values. The next day, Mei chose her words carefully. When Xiao began another tale, Mei gently steered the conversation toward a more constructive topic. "I've noticed how kind the blacksmith is," Mei said. "Did you see how he helped repair that wagon for the elderly farmer last week? It was such a generous gesture." Xiao hesitated, her usual sharp retorts subdued by Mei's positive tone. Slowly, their conversation shifted. While Xiao's habit of gossiping didn't vanish overnight, Mei's approach introduced a subtle change in their dynamic. As Mei prepared to leave the village, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The experience with Xiao had deepened her understanding of her master's wisdom. Gossip, she realized, wasn't just idle talk, it was a reflection of one's inner state and could deeply affect relationships. By choosing words that uplifted rather than tore down, Mei could contribute to a more harmonious world. With this resolve, Mei continued her journey, determined to embody the change she wished to see. Her master's teachings resonated more profoundly with each step, guiding her toward a life of clarity, compassion, and authenticity. Signal 4: Inconsistency in Behavior. In a bustling town brimming with creativity, Mei came across Jun, an artist whose charisma seemed to draw people like moths to a flame. His gallery was adorned with breathtaking works of art, each piece speaking volumes of his talent. Visitors flocked to him, enamored by both his skill and his charm. At first glance, Jun appeared to be the embodiment of inspiration, his presence lighting up the room. Intrigued, Mei decided to observe him closely. As days passed, she began to notice an inconsistency in Jun's behavior. When wealthy patrons visited his gallery, he was the picture of humility, bowing slightly as he spoke with an unassuming tone. "Your support means everything," he would say, his voice filled with gratitude. However, when he interacted with his peers, other artists, or townsfolk, his demeanor changed entirely. He spoke with arrogance, often dismissing their work with a wave of his hand and a condescending remark. Mei's curiosity grew. How could one person exhibit such contradictory behavior? She decided to confront Jun, not out of judgment, but in search of understanding. One afternoon, she found him sketching in his gallery. The room was quiet, bathed in soft sunlight that filtered through the large windows. Jun Mei began, her tone gentle yet direct. "I've observed something about you. With your wealthy patrons, you're humble and kind. But with your peers, you're often dismissive. Why do you wear different faces for different people? Is your true self so uncertain?" Jun froze for a moment, his pencil hovering mid-air. A nervous laugh escaped his lips as he glanced at Mei. "You ask an unusual question," he replied, attempting to deflect. "Artists are complex. You know, we adapt to survive." Mei met his gaze, her expression unwavering. "Adaptation is one thing, Jun, but authenticity is another. My master taught me that true peace comes from being consistent in character. Wearing masks for different people only creates confusion, both for others and within oneself." Jun didn't respond. Instead, he turned back to his sketch, the nervousness lingering in his eyes. As Mei left the gallery, she reflected on the encounter. June's behavior was a reminder of her master's wisdom. Authenticity is about being at peace with oneself. Mei realized that to build meaningful connections and live with integrity, one must strive to be consistent in character, regardless of the audience. With this insight, she vowed to remain true to herself, her actions reflecting her values in every circumstance. Signal 5, reluctance to apologize. In a bustling town known for its vibrant culture, Mei attended a highly anticipated gathering led by a prominent figure named Wei. Wei was revered for his eloquence and leadership, and the townspeople held him in high esteem. The event was grand, with rows of attendees eagerly awaiting his address. Wei stood confidently on the stage, his voice commanding attention as he outlined his vision for the community. Midway through the event, however, a moment of confusion arose. Wei had misstated an important detail about a new project, and whispers of uncertainty rippled through the audience. A brave attendee raised their hand to clarify the error, politely pointing out the inconsistency. Instead of addressing the mistake, Wei deflected, blaming his staff for providing incorrect information. His tone was defensive, and he quickly moved on, dismissing the matter entirely. Mei, sitting among the crowd, observed the exchange with a mixture of disappointment and curiosity. Wei's unwillingness to admit his error created tension in the room, overshadowing the otherwise inspiring event. The attendees exchanged uneasy glances, and the sense of unity that had filled the hall began to waver. After the gathering concluded, Mei approached Wei as he mingled with the crowd. She waited patiently for a moment to speak with him privately. "Master Wei," she began, her voice respectful yet firm. "You are a respected leader, and your words carry great weight. But today, a mistake was made, and rather than addressing it, you placed the blame on others. Why not apologize and correct the misunderstanding?" Wei stiffened, his expression shifting to one of irritation. "Apologize," he said, almost scoffing. "A leader does not show weakness. Admitting a mistake would undermine my authority." Mei met his gaze with calm resolve. "Master Wei," she replied, "humility is not a sign of weakness, it is a mark of strength. To acknowledge one's mistake is to show courage, not vulnerability. It builds trust and fosters connection." Wei did not respond immediately. Instead, he waved her off with a dismissive gesture, muttering something about the burdens of leadership before turning his attention elsewhere. As Mei walked away, she reflected on the encounter and her master's teachings. To apologize is not to admit weakness, but to show courage. Wei's reluctance to take responsibility had alienated the very people he sought to inspire. Mei realized that humility and vulnerability were essential for genuine leadership and meaningful relationships. Inspired by this insight, Mei vowed to embrace humility in her own life. She understood that admitting faults not only strengthens one's character but also fosters deeper connections with others. As she continued her journey, she carried this lesson with her, a quiet but powerful reminder of the strength found in vulnerability. Signal 6, Exploiting Vulnerabilities. In a quiet, remote village surrounded by misty hills and lush greenery, Mei came across a renowned healer named Ming. The villagers spoke of him with a mix of reverence and necessity, as his remedies were known to cure even the most persistent ailments. Ming's clinic was modest yet always bustling with patients seeking relief. His demeanor, at first glance, appeared warm and compassionate, his hands steady as he prepared treatments and offered reassurances. Mei, intrigued by his reputation, decided to observe his work. She watched as Ming skillfully attended to a young child suffering from a persistent cough, his words calm and soothing as he reassured the worried mother. "Your child will be fine," Ming said, handing her a small vial of medicine. The mother bowed gratefully, her eyes brimming with relief until Ming stated the price. Her face fell as she reached into her meager savings to pay the exorbitant fee, her gratitude now tinged with despair. Over the next few days, Mei noticed a troubling pattern. Ming's remedies were effective, but his prices were disproportionately high, especially for a village where most people struggled to make ends meet. Desperation drove the sick and their families to part with what little they had, often leaving them in greater poverty. Ming seemed unfazed, his focus more on counting coins than the welfare of his patients. Disturbed by what she witnessed, Mei approached Ming one evening as he packed up for the day. "Master Ming," she began, her voice steady but tinged with concern. "Your skills as a healer are remarkable, but I've observed that many of your patients leave with heavier hearts than when they arrived. They are grateful for your help, yet burdened by the cost. Do you not see how this exploits their vulnerability?" Ming looked at her, his expression indifferent. "I provide a service," he replied coolly. "It is their choice to pay. My time and skills are valuable, and I must be compensated." Mei met his gaze. "Unyielding compassion, not greed, defines a true healer," she said firmly. "To exploit another's weakness burdens your own karma. True healing is not just of the body but of the spirit, and greed poisons both." Ming waved her off dismissively, but Mei's words lingered in the air like an unspoken truth. As she left the clinic, she reflected on her master's teachings. True compassion transforms lives. It seeks to alleviate suffering without adding to it. Determined to embody this wisdom, Mei resolved to advocate for fairness and kindness in all her interactions. She understood that true compassion required not only skill but also a heart untainted by selfish motives. With this lesson etched into her spirit, Mei continued her journey, intent on living a life that uplifted others without taking advantage of their vulnerabilities. Signal 7: Resistance to Accountability. Mei's journey led her to a bustling town where her final stop awaited, an apprenticeship with a master craftsman named Shen, renowned for his intricate woodwork and masterful techniques. Shen's creations were sought after by nobles and commoners alike. His workshop was a testament to his skill. Rows of beautifully carved furniture and ornate designs adorned the space, each piece telling a story of precision and artistry. Eager to learn, Mei approached Shen with respect and humility. Shen, though initially gruff, allowed her to assist in his workshop. Over the days, Mei observed his meticulous methods and quickly realized the depth of his talent. However, she also noticed something unsettling. Shen was utterly resistant to feedback. One afternoon, as they worked on a particularly complex carving, Mei noticed a minor flaw in Shen's design, a misalignment that could compromise the overall balance of the piece. Gathering her courage, she gently said, "Master Shen, I think this section might need adjustment. If we shift the angle slightly, it might enhance the symmetry." Shen froze, his tools clattering onto the table. His face darkened, and he turned to Mei with an air of indignation. "Who are you to question me?" he demanded, his tone sharp. "I've been perfecting this craft for decades. Do you think a mere apprentice can see what I cannot?" Mei stepped back, taken aback by his reaction. She had meant only to help, but her suggestion had been met with hostility. Shen continued working, muttering under his breath, and ignored her for the rest of the day. That evening, as Mei reflected on the incident, her master's words came to mind. The wise see criticism as a gift, the fool sees it as an insult. Shen's unwillingness to accept feedback, no matter how well-intentioned, had created a barrier to his growth. Mei realized that even the most skilled craftsman could stagnate without the humility to learn and adapt. Over the following days, Mei chose her words carefully. observing Shen's work and contributing where she could without provoking his ire. But deep inside, she resolved to embrace a different path for herself. She understood that accountability and openness to constructive criticism were essential for personal and professional growth. As her apprenticeship ended, Mei thanked Shen sincerely for the skills she had learned, but carried with her a valuable lesson beyond craftsmanship. True mastery, she realized, required not just talent but the humility to acknowledge one's flaws and grow from them. With this understanding, Mei continued her journey, vowing to welcome feedback as a tool for transformation and to foster an attitude of lifelong learning. After months of travel, Mei returned to her master, her heart and mind enriched with experiences. Bowing deeply, she recounted her journey and the 7 signals she had observed. "Master," she said, "I have learned that the journey was not just about recognizing the flaws in others, but about cultivating my own self-awareness. Each encounter became a mirror, reflecting areas for my growth." The master smiled warmly. "You have understood well, Mei. Discernment is not about judgment but about clarity. By recognizing insincerity, you protect your peace and nurture meaningful connections. Remember, the path inward is the path to truth." With a heart full of gratitude, Mei continued her journey, now equipped with the wisdom to navigate the complexities of human nature with compassion and authenticity. Mei's journey was not merely an exploration of human behaviors, but a profound pilgrimage into the depths of her own mind and heart. Through each encounter, she peeled away layers of misunderstanding about others, and in doing so, unveiled hidden truths about herself. From her master's teachings and her experiences, Mei began to see the interconnectedness of all beings and the importance of cultivating clarity, compassion, and authenticity. In Buddhism, the journey inward is the path to liberation. Mei's realization that each encounter served as a mirror aligns with the Buddhist teaching of self-reflection. The Buddha taught that all external conflicts and judgments originate within the mind. By recognizing her own tendencies, whether it was a lapse in discernment, a moment of pride, or a hesitation to act with kindness, Mei moved closer to the truth of her own nature. The 7 signals Mei observed were not just lessons about others, but stepping stones to her own enlightenment. She saw how greed, dishonesty, and a lack of humility in others resonated with the seeds of those same tendencies within herself. Instead of condemning, she chose to cultivate their antidotes: generosity, truthfulness, and humility. In this way, Mei embodied the Buddhist practice of right mindfulness and right intention, key elements of the Noble Eightfold Path. As Mei continued her journey, she embraced the impermanence of every experience, understanding that the people she met, whether flawed or virtuous, were reflections of the transient and ever-changing nature of life. The Master's words, "Discernment is not about judgment but about clarity," reminded her that true wisdom comes not from labeling others as good or bad, but from seeing the reality of their actions without attachment or aversion. Mei's story serves as a reminder that spiritual growth is not about perfection but about practice. Each step, no matter how small, contributes to the cultivation of a mind that is steady, a heart that is open, and a spirit that is resilient. Her journey echoes the Buddha's teaching, as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind. So the wise are not moved by praise or blame. In the end, Mei's path reflects the essence of the Buddhist way, seeking truth not in the external world but within, and transforming every encounter into an opportunity for growth. With this wisdom, she carried forward the light of understanding, illuminating not only her own path but also inspiring others to walk with mindfulness, compassion, and authenticity.